Homefront the Revolution got passed back and forth between 2013 and 2016. The result was that it's kind of a miracle the final game came out at all. Now, I like the final game a lot, the Time Splitters 2 inclusion or otherwise, but I get why people weren't the biggest fans of it.
You know I have superpowers.
Fuck your powers, you pathetic little traitor.
Oh, sounds like someone needs a demonstration. I'll show you exactly how powerful I am.
It had a very tumultuous development history, and you can see this and try it out for yourself. There are dozens of prototypes for this game that date back to when it was just going to be called Homefront 2. It was going to drop on last-gen consoles, and some of these builds date back several years before the final release. The build I played is from October 5th, 2012. We actually had some recent drops of Homefront 2 builds back in April, and I've been meaning to talk about them for a while now, because it's odd to delve into how different the game was going to be despite hitting some of the same focal points. I mean, you have Jack Parrish as one of the characters in one of the vignettes, you have Independence Hall being a location, you have a mission at City Hall. There was supposed to be a segment in the Wetlands, which was supposed to be a part of the main game instead of DLC, and a stealth vignette in a shipyard. I mean, all that stuff right there, that is either Homefront the Revolution or its DLCs like Beyond the Walls. The game was going to hit a lot of similar points, and it's neat to see how far it got before the reworks and before other developers took over. So, this build I have right here, going bit by bit, the menu seems like it's built off Crysis 2, which wouldn't surprise me given that it's the same engine. You have different options after you choose your brightness about what you want to play. There is a multiplayer option, but we're just going to focus on the single player stuff. Yeah, before the Revolution reworks, it was supposed to have a traditional PvP multiplayer experience. Sort of like the first game, where it had the Resistance versus KPA. But anyway, single player. You have different options to choose from. Not all of them work, at least not in Xenia or Xenia Canary.
And every KPA soldier needed here is one less defending the coast from the Euro invasion.
Okay, whoa. I know we've got to rally the street, but many of them, I mean, they don't have any training even, much less any guns.
We've been over this, Parrish. If our fellow Americans want their freedom back, they should be ready to die alongside us. So let's just get on with it.
All right, roger that.
The narrative vignette, open combat vignette, stealth vignette, directed combat vignette, Independence Hall, comms dish, and City Hall. Now, Independence Hall froze for me. City Hall also froze, though I was able to get it working later. Narrative vignette gives you sort of a taste of how the intro is going to go. That was also going to focus on Walker, and on the aftermath of being rescued by him, though I wasn't able to get too far into it, so I can't really comment too much on it. The combat vignettes are where things are interesting. Same for the stealth vignette.
I heard a raid.
Get me down.
Thank fuck. Were you followed?
Can't walk.
You been
Gotta
followed?
get the bullet out.
I ain't gonna
I need
make
a
it.
rag for a tourniquet.
You have to get out of here.
And I'm
We don't
gonna
have
need
much
some
time.
morphine.
Come here. Come here, goddammit.
This'll be
You better
enough.
listen to me.
Security. Hey, only if you need it. No, never mind. We're in yellow. It's gotta be a market close. Where there's a market, there's a dealer.
Get
You
out!
know about this shit? Look for this sign.
The open combat vignette is set in an area that looks like it's from Beyond the Walls, when you're going through the swamps and such as Brady. You have to sneak around and sabotage a KPA installation while KPA soldiers hunt for you. There are armored vehicles and such, weapons to pick up. You have a rifle and a handgun. You can customize the rifle to a good degree, so the attachment system from the Revolution was still planned as far back as this, including an option for an underbarrel grenade launcher, which as far as I know, none of the guns in the Revolution have an option for. You can convert the rifle to shoot mines that work well against armored vehicles like Goliaths, but that isn't necessarily the case for, it's not underbarrel weapon, it's converting the entire weapon to be a mine launcher. In any case, you are able to stealth around. You're able to choose between going in direct combat with the KPA and sneaking around them. And it goes about as well as you'd expect. This is very rough, very early. It's actually kind of difficult to control, and I found the KPA completely stomping me a lot of the times I would fight them. When combat worked, it was okay, but again, this was pretty early as far as polish goes. It seemed like the level concept itself had gotten far, but the main gameplay systems needed more work. It also didn't run the best, though that could also be a matter of Xenia emulating it, or it could be that the levels hadn't been optimized. Anyway, I died a lot in the wetlands, so I moved on to the directed combat vignette.
Nothing we can do for them. KPA is coming.
This is set in downtown Philadelphia. There's smog covering the city, and you're working with the Resistance to ambush a KPA patrol, and to link up with other Resistance members. It's confusing. It's very confusing. It feels unfinished. It probably is. You're navigating around the city. Again, you have to wear a gas mask. I don't know if it's the case of like how in the final game the KPA would gas cities that would break away and revolt, but it's difficult to get through. It reminds me of that one contaminated zone in the final game that you'll need a mask to explore. I was able to go out of bounds to a degree, and another problem I found was that some areas are just really dark. The indoor areas are tough to navigate, and unfortunately I had to get through some of them to advance the plot. Eventually I just wasn't able to progress any further, though it could also just be that that vignette wasn't finished. This is a prototype build, after all. The stealth vignette was kind of cool. It's sort of like this Shipyard in the final game, but instead of stealing a Goliath, you are sabotaging the KPA again. And if you get noticed, you only have a limited amount of time to stop the KPA from calling in reinforcements before they all start gunning for you. It is a challenge. Again, the controls are frustrating, and it's kind of tough to see in some areas. It's early, though. I gotta give it credit for that. This was a game being cobbled together. There are aspects of the first Homefront here, aspects of Crisis 2, and parts of what would become the Revolution. So I can commend it for being piecemeal and still working. I can see the vision the developers were going for. Now, the City Hall and Comms Dish missions, those were some of the most fleshed out and interesting ones, even if I still couldn't finish them. Comms Dish is set in farmland areas, again, sort of like Beyond the Walls. You need to sabotage a KPA communications network by destroying this communications dish they have. You're exploring through different farms, you talk to Resistance members. The interior of the farms are very dark once again, but the cool thing is that there's a vehicle you can drive, and not the motorcycle of the final game. In this one, you're driving what looks like some sort of Jeep, a futuristic looking one. It has a turret that you can use as well, and it's pretty cool. There's also a ton of space to explore. It runs decently well, the level that is. It feels like it would have been, again, an open-ended combat situation, where you could either stealth your way through, fight, or you could change up strategies on the fly. It is neat to go through, because not only was this never really fully realized in the final game, but the whole mission setup is unique. It would have been nice to see where this went, though I get the feeling some environments were probably reused for the final DLC of the Revolution. The last one I got working was City Hall. And this was unique. Our buddy Parrish from the final game is here, and we have a goal to infiltrate City Hall.
Ziplining 101. Use your camera to find grapple points. Position yourself at one point, fire the launcher at another, and off you go.
This doesn't feel like it would have been a climactic mission like it is in the base game, but it still seems like it carries some weight. There was a zip lining feature that you were supposed to use, setting up a zip line and getting over to City Hall. The KPA are on the rooftop, you have the option of fighting them directly or silently killing them. Trying to sneak around them just got me noticed, so I kinda gave up on that. Once you get down, there's a server hub you need to reach. Though, on the inside it's very dark and, again, tough to navigate. The interiors of buildings seem to have this issue consistently. I tried completing the City Hall mission, though, again, getting caught up in dark areas was often my downfall. Enemies didn't have that same problem, and they were happy to mow me down once I would get lost. But it is still cool to explore again. It was an early version of, I guess, what would have become a major mission in the Revolution. Plus, Dana's there as well, so we got Parrish and Moore together. Does make me wonder where some of the guys like Crawford are, but maybe their levels hadn't been made yet, or maybe they hadn't been realized as characters yet. I mean, Walker's in this, so some aspects of the narrative were still put together. And from what I've heard, this was going to be a reboot of Homefront. I don't know if this is necessarily going to be a sequel, if it would have carried on from the events of the first game, from the conflict on the West Coast. But there are other builds as well. Maybe they delved into the story further. It seems like this version got decently far, and the ending would have actually been close to the ending of Beyond the Walls, where our protagonist would have sacrificed himself to help NATO and the European Union get a foothold to reclaim America alongside the Resistance. That would have been cool to see. I think the final game carried that out very well, even if the DLC was on the pricier side. So yeah, that was my exploration of this build of Homefront the Revolution. It wasn't perfect by any means, but I could see the vision of what they were going for, and it's crazy just how many aspects of the final game were being put together here. Seems like there was a clear idea of what was going to happen, just the specifics of it were being figured out on the fly. Changes had to be made either to accommodate hardware or story changes. And, I mean, overall, I was happy with the final version of it, though I get why people were sick of the Far Cry sort of formula for open-world games. I thought the Revolution brought enough to the table to change it up. This is not the earliest prototype we have. That goes all the way back to November 28th, 2011, which is almost half a decade before the final release. But it's still a pretty early build. You can find a lot of builds, actually. The latest one from the 360, aka the Homefront 2 era, was August 6, 2013. So there's a wide range of development times that these prototypes cover. I'm sure the last ones might actually follow up on these concepts and give the game a clearer identity. Thank you all for watching. Thanks for taking an interest in prototypes, especially for a game as tenuous as Homefront 2 or Homefront the Revolution. Take care.